Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I'd like to make a small decorative pillow just in time for St. Patrick's Day. It's going to be a very simple pattern, but a very classic looking pattern. I am starting with a small pillow form, and this is 12 inches by 20 inches, but you're going to be able to adjust it to a pillow form that you have. We're going to need a little bit of fabric, and of course for St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to be going with some greens. So I do have some green fabrics, and I needed some accenting colors, so I did use black and white. This is a check, and it does have a little bit of a black in it, and this is really going to accent this beautiful checkered fabric. Now this can be done in any fabric. It's more of the style of pillow than the fabric. So the first thing we're going to do is make that front. And I'll be doing this in long strips of fabric. I want the main fabric on the bottom, and then I'm going to do a band coming down the center. It's going to be a 1-inch cut piece of fabric. I'm going to have a green accent, and this is a cut 2-inch. Another 1-inch cut of fabric, and then this is 5 inches. So all of this fabric is 20 inches to match that 20-inch pillow. This is going to be a little bit more than that 12 inches, but I like the difference because then I can adjust it to how I want. So I need to just sew these layers together. As I've sewn these strips together, I've taken this black fabric, and it could be any color depending on what you want, but I've pressed the seams going in towards that black. So they're both going in. That is giving a little bit more fabric behind these strips, which is going to make those strips a little bit bolder, and they're going to look thicker because they really are thicker. From here the pillow does look nice on its own, but we're going to add a little something in the center. And in this case, because it is for St. Patrick's Day, I am going to do a shamrock. So I'm going to take 3 pieces of paper, and I'm going to cut out 3 hearts. These 3 hearts joined together are going to make that shamrock shape. So we're going to be able to keep trimming these hearts until we get to a size that we like. Once we get the size and the shape that we want, just tape those hearts together. My shamrock does need a stem, so I've just cut out a little curve, and I'm going to tape that on. I now have my shamrock shape, and I can compare it to make sure it is the shape and the size that I want. If you like to hand applique, you can just put this on your fabric, trace around, needle turn, and sew it on. But I'm going to be doing this with a fusible web. I will be stitching around this afterwards, so I will be using a light HeatnBond. If I want the shamrock in this direction, I'm going to need to turn it around and trace it in that position. So just trace out that right on top of that paper side of that fusible web. Once I trace out that shape, I'm going to be able to cut it out a little bit bigger and iron it onto the back of my green fabric. So the glue side is going to go on the wrong side of this green fabric. So I have the shamrock cut out, I have that paper on the back. So I do have the shape and the size that I'd like, but I do want a little black line around this shamrock. So I'm going to take this and find a piece of fabric that's going to fit all the way around the outside. So I have a piece big enough. I will now add a fusible web onto the back of the black fabric. Once that paper's on, I can now take off that backing on that one fusible web, iron it onto this one fabric, and be sure to follow the appropriate directions for that fusible web. So my layers are together. Now I'm going to cut, and I'm going to leave approximately a 1/4 inch all the way around. That little extra black piece of fabric around that really does make it show up nice. and it also matches this trim. I could take that back off, fuse that on, and now do some kind of a stitching to hold this down. I will do 2 rows of stitching. I will do 1 stitching along the green coming into the green, and then 1 row of stitching going around that black. So from the back you can see those 2 rows of stitching. And it really does have a nice finish, having just that little extra black going all the way around. Now if you want, you could add some veins in the leaf, but I'm just going to leave it nice and clean. The front piece is now done, and I can now trim it down to the size that I need. And in my case, it's 12 inches by 20 inches. Having that little extra at the top and the bottom will give me an idea if I want to see more green or more top. Now trim it down to that size that you need. Once it's trimmed down, I'm going to be able to put the backing on it. The backing is going to have no zippers. It's just going to be a slip-in pillow. So we need 1 piece of fabric that's this size, whatever your size is. Mine is 12 by 20. On one side, I'm going to fold over a 1/2 inch and then fold over another 1/2 inch and press. And I'm going to top stitch that down. Once that little edge has been stitched down, match up the 2 edges. We're going to notice that it's a little short on one side. We're going to fill in that space with another piece of fabric. This is 6 inches by 20 inches. It's folded in half. Take that cut edge, just lift this up and place it down. And then fold that back over. Now we're going to be able to stitch all the way around the pillow. The pillow form is going to go through here, so we don't have to leave an opening. Just stitch all the way around. Our sewing is now complete, and we can turn it right side out and press it. Now that it's pressed, we're going to be able to put that pillow form in. There's a really easy way to do it. Take this little flap and fold it back. By folding that back, we have an easy way of sticking that pillow in. So we could just put that pillow in now. Once the pillow is in, all we need to do is flop that back to the back side. And that covers up the back. If you like the backs nice and smooth, you can do a couple of stitches just to hold this in. I would recommend big stitches so you can take them out and reuse that pillow form for another season. But now our pillow is done. The pillow is done. That band of fabric with that little black outline really does make it look elegant. And I'm done in time to enjoy this for St. Patrick's Day. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe and come on back. Let's see what we're working on next time in the sewing room. If you want, you can always join me on Facebook, Instagram, and, well, I do have a newsletter, all under Sew Very Easy. I'll put it in the description. Bye for now.